So this week, Michelle, in another attempt to work out of my comfort zone and learn something, I'll be locking myself in the shadowy cloakroom of inexperience and trying to sculpt one of my favorite characters in Halloween lore, little Frankie Scarlatti from Frank LaLoggia's classic, Lady in White.
All right. So you did a Frankie ink and watercolor a while ago that I liked, but this time a little sculpture.
Yes, a little sculpture, a little diorama.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work smaller because, you know, we have limited shelf space, and honestly, clay costs money.
Right.
And the less clay I use, the more money I have,
Yeah.
in theory. But working small has its challenges for me because I'm self-taught, because I am still learning, and because I have giant meat hooks for hands.
Right.
So let's hope I do this little guy justice.
It's hard to believe that there's anyone who hasn't seen this movie.
Right.
But as a refresher, it's Halloween, 1962. Frankie is headed to school wearing a cape and a Bela Lugosi Dracula mask and carrying a jack-o'-lantern in the basket of his bicycle.
Yeah, and while those are elements that I've put into the sculpt, I'm not really sculpting a specific scene from the movie.
Right.
It's more like the essence of the character or his story. The thing about Frankie, the thing that makes Lady in White a perfect Halloween movie for me, yes, it's a mystery thriller. Yes, it's spooky.
Yeah.
But it also has this powerful sense of nostalgia
Oh, yeah.
that captures what Halloween felt like when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You can try to recreate that feeling as an adult, but you will never quite match that perfect mix of joy and excitement and a little terror and just the wonder of it all.
Right?
The candy, the chill in the air, the rustle of the leaves, the glow of the jack-o'-lanterns. For a few years, when you're a kid, the Halloween experience is truly magical.
It is. But for Frankie, that particular Halloween was a rough ride.
You're right. Let's run down the list. 35-year-old spoilers, by the way.
Yeah.
Frankie has recently lost his mom. That Halloween morning, his brother scares him off of his bicycle and into a deep patch of wet cement. So his costume and jack-o'-lantern are completely covered in muck. His pant leg is torn at that point. He gets a pretty deep cut on his knee.
What does that look like? Ketchup?
Yeah. And when he gets to school, one of his best friends mocks him.
Donald.
And then steals the hat that his father got him.
Donald.
And it eventually locks him in a dark cloakroom where he is trapped alone long after everyone else has left school.
This is a terrible Halloween.
It really is, because then he's accosted by a rat.
Right.
And he experiences a bone-chilling haunting there. Oh, and he's the victim of a horrific attack.
It's awful.
It's horrible.
And he missed trick-or-treats.
Yeah. I mean, that clearly not the worst thing he endured, but you're right. He did miss trick-or-treat, and that is a deeply felt loss when you're a kid.
It really is.
So you worked on the base with me. Thanks for your input on that. By
Sure.
the way.
Sanded, painted.
Yeah.
Because of the time period, we went with the classic black and orange.
Right. 1960s Halloween, that's black and orange.
Yeah.
And as far as the idea behind the sculpture, yeah, Frankie went through a lot of bad stuff that Halloween. But when that cloakroom door opened up again, it also opened up a door to some mysteries that needed solving.
Yeah.
Some dark truths about the town Frankie lived in. Some wondrous revelations about the afterlife.
Oh, yeah.
And look, I'm not a sculptor.
Okay.
I'm self-taught. But I tried to give Frankie a look that conveys a little fear, a little worry, a little wonder.
Yeah.
The things that he's battling against are huge.
Yes.
They're overwhelming. They're life-altering, really. But Frankie's got a good heart and a strong spirit.
Yeah.
And to fortify those things, I gave him some armor, his mask and his cape.
Yeah.
And because his family, in particular his father, were so important to Frankie's strength,
Yes.
I gave him the jack-o'-lantern as his shield. You know, his dad handed him that jack-o'-lantern Halloween morning as he was going to school, and I always got the sense that they had worked on it together the night before.
Right.
Just this loving pastime that parents and kids have shared since who knows how many Halloweens ago.
Exactly. Ah, the cape. Very dramatic.
Frankie actually is a very dramatic kid.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in that gourd of his.
I felt a little bad covering up all the work you did on the figure, but the cape is a really nice finishing touch.
Well, I had to have the cape. And really, a strong breeze will reveal all that work.
Right.
Thank you, by the way, for having fingers bony enough to tie that knot for me.
No problem. Okay, why don't we look at how Frankie turned out?
By the way, if anybody wants to do a deep dive on The Lady in White, Frank LaLoggia, who wrote, directed, produced, and scored the film, narrates it, and, you know, he somehow also managed to land a small on-screen role in it as well.
That lucky duck.
Right? Well, he has just built a new website dedicated to his films, and there's a ton of Lady in White media from over the years.
Yes.
It's a digital scrapbook that puts everything in one place, and honestly, you could spend hours on there.
Hours.
The site is franklaloggia.com, and we will put that down in the info. So there it is, my latest tribute to Frank and Lady in White and his wonderful story and character.
Yes.
I've done others, and you can click on the link to see one of them. Thanks for working on this with me.
Sure, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, and also, thank you, Frank LaLoggia, for The Lady in White.
Thanks for watching.